Once upon a time in the small town of Ravenwood, two siblings, 12-year-old Daniel and 8-year-old Lucy, lived with their loving parents in a charming two-story house. One fateful day, an ominous-looking package arrived at their doorstep, right on Lucy's birthday. Their mother, seeing the address was from her late Aunt Agnes, decided it must be a birthday gift for Lucy. Eager to see her present, Lucy tore open the package, revealing a beautiful porcelain doll dressed in a vintage red velvet dress, with an intricate lace collar and jet black hair. Something about the doll's piercing blue eyes sent a shiver down Daniel's spine, but Lucy was instantly smitten. That night, the siblings awoke to the sound of tapping on their windows. As the wind howled outside, they peeked through the curtains to find nothing but darkness. Shaken, they huddled together under the covers, dismissing it as a trick of the storm. However, as the days passed, strange things began to happen around the house. Windows would open on their own, and once sharp kitchen knives were found dulled and stained. Their parents brushed off the occurrences, attributing them to accidents and forgetfulness. Yet, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. As the days grew darker and the inexplicable events escalated, Daniel grew more and more suspicious of the doll. He began to notice that it seemed to move on its own, changing positions when no one was looking. It wasn't long before he saw the doll's eyes, once lifeless and glassy, now glowed with an eerie, demonic light. One fateful night, Lucy was found weeping in her room, a deep, angry slash across her arm. When questioned, she claimed the doll, now named Eliza, had attacked her. Their parents, trying to maintain calm, dismissed it as a bad dream, but Daniel believed her. Determined to protect his sister, Daniel snuck into Lucy's room one night and snatched the doll away. Holding Eliza in his trembling hands, he demanded the demonic spirit reveal itself. The room's temperature plummeted as a menacing voice echoed through the darkness, confirming Daniel's worst fears. The spirit within Eliza revealed itself as a vengeful entity, craving the innocent soul of young Lucy. Armed with nothing but his courage and the ancient silver crucifix passed down by his grandmother, Daniel held it firmly against the doll, chanting prayers in desperation. The air grew thick with tension as a battle of wills ensued. Eliza, consumed by rage, lunged at Daniel, slashing and clawing at his skin. Blood streamed down his face and arms, but Daniel didn't relent. He shouted the prayers with all his might, the crucifix burning into the porcelain. But as the doll's porcelain skin began to melt, Eliza started to laugh, her cackles growing louder and more sinister. Suddenly, she began to chant in a demonic tongue, her voice blending with Daniel's desperate prayers. As the room filled with a cacophony of otherworldly sounds, a blinding flash of light enveloped them both. When the light subsided, the doll lay motionless on the floor, while Daniel stood dazed, clutching the crucifix. But as he looked down at his hands, he noticed they were no longer his own. To his horror, he realized he was now trapped inside the doll's body. The entity that had once possessed Eliza now stood in Daniel's body, grinning maliciously. "Such a futile attempt, boy," it sneered, "but now I have an even better vessel." With a wicked laugh, the demon-controlled Daniel picked up the doll and hurled it across the room, shattering it into pieces. Daniel's soul, now imprisoned within the broken doll, could only watch helplessly as his body was stolen. With Daniel gone, there was nothing stopping the demonic entity from wreaking havoc upon the family. One by one, it terrorized and tormented them, relishing in their pain and suffering. But even as his family was tormented, the spirit of Daniel, trapped within the shattered porcelain remains, refused to give up. He called out to his sister, his voice barely a whisper, hoping that she would somehow hear him and recognize the truth. As the days turned into weeks, the once loving and peaceful household fell into chaos and despair, all under the control of the malevolent force wearing Daniel's skin. But as Lucy clung to her last shreds of hope, she finally heard her brother's faint whispers. Realizing the truth, she set out to find a way to save her family and restore her brother's soul to its rightful place.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up